Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, December 3rd, 2021. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Frontline and other strategic workers in SVG who are yet to take at least one dose of the available COVID-19 vaccines will be considered to have abandoned their job as of today. Under the statutory rules and order number 28 of 2021, which came into effect on November 19, 2021, frontline and strategic workers were mandated to take the job by this time with a grace period of 10 days, after which failure to do so, they will be prohibited from entering their workplace unless they receive an exemption from taking the job based on medical or religious grounds. On Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, police officers who were unvaccinated were no longer considered employed by the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. Speaking on the matter on the radio on Wednesday, Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves said while the vaccination rate among frontline and strategic workers is now very high, there are some who are adamant that they will not be taking the job. Teachers are among the categories of frontline workers expected to take the job. However, their umbrella organization, the SVG Teachers Union, is opposed to the government's vaccination mandate, and over the last 2 weeks has been calling on members to support the vaccinated and unvaccinated by engaging in a series of protest action such as sit-ins and no teaching days. While several schools have been slightly affected by the actions of members of the SVG-TU, the West St. George Secondary School was reportedly mostly affected. On radio on Wednesday, Prime Minister Gonsalves urged the teachers not to punish the students.
Everybody must understand how I think and how I'm leading and how the government thinks. You want to go to school and you stay in the classroom, stay in the staff room. I ain't sending police to move you. Johnny B. Huh? I just get somebody else to teach people's children, including, if necessary, retired teachers. And I will pass a cabinet decision to have them paid whatever their remuneration under the new contract, short term now.
Yes.
Whilst they still continue to get their pension for what they have served already. That is how high on the totem pole I put the children.
Urging teachers and other frontline workers to make a rational and correct choice to take the COVID-19 jab. BM Gonsalves said those who refuse to take it should understand that choices have consequences.
And persons who say, Ralph, you must talk to God about this, and say they're friends of mine who oppose the vaccine as they consider on religious grounds. And I say to them, I talk to God every day, several times a day. And I know He speaks to me too. and no one person may think they have a monopoly on the voice of God. Yeah? So I will want, well, by the end of Friday, I will see what I'll have a clearer and more total picture, and certainly as we go into next week, in respect of the frontline workers.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union continues with its series of protest action against the government's vaccination policy for teachers and other frontline and strategic workers. The SVGTU called for a two-day sit-in protest action among members on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, which President of the Union, Oswald Robinson, said was a success, with teachers from at least 2 schools having 100% participation.
In some cases, there are some schools who are not in a position for today, they are doing their solidarity today, in terms of bringing everybody together, both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. The 2 days were great. The response was very good. I know for 2 schools in particular, you had 100%. And there are other schools that are coming on board, and we are satisfied. Bearing in mind that, remember, the blended approach is taking place. So it is those teachers who are present at school at the day who really participated. Okay, and we are satisfied with what we have seen, and the numbers are continuing to grow, and we are maintaining this momentum.
The SVGTU president said after a meeting of the executive today, the union has decided to up its protest action with another 2-day sit-in and a mass picket next Friday, December 10th, 2021 in Kingstown.
We will strike for 2 days next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Teachers would stay at home, and they will not teach on the 7th and the 8th. And then on Friday, we're going to dub it Black Friday. We'll all dress in black. We will have a picket in Kingston from 9:30 around the Kingston Vegetable Market from the side of where the opposite the police barracks, the side of the police fire department, and we will go, like when you're heading for the leeward side, we'll go left, right, around in front of the Parliament building, at the opposite of the Parliament building, on the side of the vegetable market. That picket will start from 9:30, and we are preparing ourselves to absorb all the health protocols in terms of 3 feet apart, wearing of masks. We would set up our registration. In the event we have to do any contact tracing, we will have that. We will observe all the traffic rules. Nobody would be permitted to interfere with the smooth flow of traffic because it's a peaceful protest. And we are looking forward to have a mass picket in Kingston next week, Friday.
Robinson said the protest next Friday will be a peaceful one, and he is calling on teachers island-wide as well as parents and even students to be part of the mass picket.
Nobody would be allowed to throw any words at the police because they have to do their duties too. And who knows, they may be in support of what we're doing. So we're calling out all public sector workers, all unemployed. We are appealing to the parents because your quality teachers and quality teaching are about to be thrown out of the window. And we want you to stand in solidarity with those teachers who have been helping your children all the years. So the parents, the guardian, we are calling out even the students to join us on the picket line Friday the 10th of December from 9:40 a.m. And we want parents to keep your children at home Tuesday and Wednesday next week, where the teachers would take 2 days strike. And we are doing this because we know they're coming for the children. They're also coming for the retired people. That is why they're asking the retired people now to come back and take the jobs of the teachers. So we want everybody, the fisher folks, the farmers, the police, the nurses, all the groups in civil society to join with us in this mass demonstration against mandatory vaccination.
In other news, the 2022 estimates of revenue and expenditure will be presented in Parliament on Wednesday, December 8, 2021. On Radio This Week, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves noted that the preparations of the estimates is a long and time-consuming venture, and that at a time of the COVID-19 pandemic, the aftermath of La Soufrière eruption, there are several issues they had to consider within the context of the resources that are available.
You prioritize? What are the housekeeping matters you keep going? What are the big strategic ones you finance, and how you finance them? You know, how much you'll do next year, how much you'll do the following year, and on the big strategic ones now. Yes. And at the same time, you have to do lots of housekeeping on issues. I'm not just talking about the regular monthly bills you have to pay in terms of salaries and wages and allowances and to pay for the water and to make sure you pay for the electricity and the telecommunications and the supplies,
yes,
to keep the plant ticking over, which is a considerable amount of money.
The parliamentarians are expected to receive a copy of the estimates today so that they can peruse it over the weekend up until its presentation on Wednesday. Prime Minister Gonsalves, however, noted that time is an issue for the presentation of this year's estimates, and one in which they will seek the consideration of the Speaker and the opposition in respect to the tributes to be paid to deceased former Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell, as it will be the first time Parliament meets since his death.
But on Wednesday, I expect in the morning we will have a little time in tributes to Sir James, because that's the first time the Parliament will be meeting. But we have the business to do. And I'm hopeful that we can agree with the Speaker that not everybody has to speak, because otherwise we're not going to get any work done on the estimates on that day.
right,
But we can pay proper tribute if we agree a certain number of speakers on each side, maximum designated, whether it's 2 or 3 on each side. So, I mean, we have to look at the effectiveness of that, really, in terms of the use of the parliamentary time, while paying, of course, due tribute to Sir James, who made a very important contribution to the economic, social, and political life of this country.
Budget Day in SVG will be Monday, December 13th, 2021. And Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, Sabota Caesar, said the allocation for the sector in this year's budget is one for the times that has an appreciation of the many needs of stakeholders. Caesar said though they were unable to hold a major stakeholders meeting this year due to the pandemic, the sector will see major developments in 2022. He thanked all stakeholders for their resolute efforts in working with other private sector entities and being supportive of the government's initiatives to rebuild the sector better. Caesar said some of the strategic areas they will be focusing on in 2022 will lay a platform to increase production and productivity, particularly in fisheries.
significant work will be done in the fisheries subsector. This is one of the fastest growing sectors in the country, and we are working in 2022 to cement a platform for that transitioning from an artisanal fisheries sector into one that is fully commercial. We must always have this discussion against the backdrop that the construction of the Argyle International Airport and its operationalization has basically created significant opportunities and possibilities for fisheries exporters, not only in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but in the OECS, who will wish to utilize the services of the Argyle International Airport as an...
Minister Caesar further commended the efforts of local exporters, whom he said have forged links with international off-takers, which has led to a significant increase in the export of fish and marine products from SVG.
And because of that environment, it has created significant buzz, not only in the country, but throughout the OECS. And what we have witnessed over the last 2 years, and this was clear in a report from the CRFM, the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, which noted that the exponential growth that we are seeing in the export of fish from St. Vincent and the Grenadines basically is twofold in its composition. One, it is as a result of increased fishing within our waters and the trajectory which has been established for the movement of fish through the centers sold locals will sell the fish to the centers and the centers will export. But interestingly, we are witnessing more and more where fishermen from other islands are going on the high seas fishing, and they're landing their fish in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because of the international linkages that the landside facilities have established. And because of that, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has now become a major transshipment point for fish.
Noting that very early in the new year, there will be the opening of a state-of-the-art fisheries facility in Calaqua by Rainforest Seafoods, with the government already signing an agreement for the off-takers to purchase some $20 million worth of fish from local fishers. Minister Caesar said he anticipates that with other developments in fisheries, there can be the movement of $40 million worth of fish from SVG going into 2023.
And you're going to see more flights coming into the airport. You're going to see significant spill-offs in the entire fisheries value chain already. And it is noted in the budget for 2022 that sums will be expended for the training of persons. Because when you're moving an industry from an artisanal level to one that is commercial, we have to lift our game. We have to be very professional. We have to ensure that we meet international standards. And these standards are set both by health authorities, but also there will be some niche standards and requirements and prerequisites which will be set by each importer. So there is a significant need for the transfer of knowledge. I am aware that Rainforest Seafoods, for example, will be hiring close to 70 workers on a full-time basis. Also, I was advised that all of the other facilities now are increasing their staff. And with this increase, we are going to see a significant impact on employment within the fisheries sector.
Caesar said it is also the ministry's intention to take fisheries from artisanal to a commercial sector in 2022 and make it clear, and he made it clear that with the transformation, no fisher will be left behind.
And I want you to be encouraged by this and to be an active participant in the development of the fisheries sector. One thing that is going to enter into the national conversation very soon, because of the rate of growth of the fisheries sector, you're going to witness that there are persons who hitherto were never involved in fishing will come to the fore to participate actively in the process. And I want to welcome everyone. There are persons who will be fixing the small engines. There will be persons who will be fixing the boats, persons who will be supplying some of the trawlers that will be going out for several weeks with food. There will be persons who will be working on the factory line to ensure that the processing is done properly. And the Bureau of Standards will be playing a very critical role.
The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, estimated that the eruptions of La Soufrière volcano caused damage to over 4,200 acres of productive agricultural lands and caused over $213 million in damage to the sector. This is according to Minister of Finance Camillo Gonsalves, who said he got the estimate value from a document from the UNDP published yesterday.
During the first, and every crisis teaches you something. And we learned in the first wave of COVID that agriculture is what saved us. That the fact that we had a productive sector operating outside of tourism is what did a lot to keep the economy going, especially the rural economy going. And we can't abandon that. In fact, we have to strengthen it. And we have to develop areas that may have been developing already, but you want to accelerate the development, to accentuate the good in the agricultural space, and take advantage of many of the things that we're doing otherwise that have linkages to the agricultural sector. So Minister Caesar referred to, for example, the hotels that are coming on stream. And the hotels are going to mean a lot if we manage this properly. It's going to mean a lot for farmers. Talk about the international airport and the increased airlift coming in and out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's going to mean a lot.
The finance minister noted that due to the impact of the volcanic eruption, the government has to come up with fresh initiatives to help the economy and the agriculture sector bounce back.
That it displaced over 3,000 registered farmers and over 300 fisher folk who work in Sandy Bay and Oya and on the leeward coast, who had to leave their fishing grounds and leave their boats behind in many cases. And that in terms of how much loss and damage to the agricultural sector, they estimate that is over $230 million worth of damage done by the volcano. No, that is a blow. That is a blow that you don't recover from overnight. And so we have to approach this with the type of strategies, the type of fresh initiatives. You're going to hear me say fresh initiatives a lot between now and the end of next year, because that's what we have to be. We have to think of new ways to attack old problems.
The annual Christmas road cleaning program is scheduled to commence on Monday, December 6th, 2021. The initiative, spearheaded by Brewster, will see the employment of over 6,000 persons island-wide. Brewster said this will include 500 gangs and 1,000 jobbers who will be responsible for the cutting of trees and cleaning of roads in all 15 constituencies over the 7 days period. The authority said contracts will also be given to over 100 truckers and conductors. The program will be carried out at a cost of 2.5 million EC dollars. Brewster is appealing to motorists and pedestrians to take the necessary precautions during the period for the road cleaning program. A total of 103 UNESCO member states expressed confidence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through their vote to serve on the World Heritage Committee, the WHC, from 2021 to 2025. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was one of 3 elected states from 6 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean to secure one of the 12 available seats on the World Heritage Committee during the 42nd session of the UNESCO's General Conference, which was held on November 25th, 2021. The other elected countries were Argentina, Mexico, Belgium, Bulgaria, Greece, India, Italy, Japan, Qatar, Rwanda, and Zambia. The World Heritage Committee is responsible for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention, defines the use of the World Heritage Fund, and allocates financial assistance upon request from states parties. It has the final say on whether a property is inscribed on the World Heritage List. It also examines reports on the state of conservation of inscribed properties and asks states parties to take action when properties are not being properly managed, and decides on the inscription or deletion of properties on the list of World Heritage in danger. St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be represented on the committee by cultural and natural experts Adedri Myers and Abinian White. The RSVG police force has launched an investigation into 3 separate incidents where 3 persons were injured by Cornelius Kennedy of Lomans Leeward, who is believed to be mentally ill. The police say, according to reports on Thursday, December 2nd, 2021, Kennedy reportedly struck 3 persons in an unprovoked attack. 2 of the 3 persons are currently in an unresponsive state in the intensive care unit at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. The other victim was treated at the Accident and Emergency Department and discharged. The first incident occurred in the vicinity of the Central Market, Kingston, about 6:40 p.m. The second incident took place at Halifax Street in front of the Ministry of Transport and Works headquarters about 6:43 p.m. and the third at the car park adjacent to the ministerial building, Kingston, about 6:46 p.m. The police say Kennedy is presently in custody, assisting with the investigation, and will be taken to the mental health center for a psychiatric evaluation. Persons with information that can assist with the investigation are asked to contact the Deputy Commissioner of Police at telephone number 1784-451-2467, the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department at 1784-456-1810, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable with. The police say all information received will be treated confidentially. And on radio this morning on Hot 97, a young lady who said she was also attacked by a mentally ill man in Kingston last evening shared her experience. She said after being stabbed, she went to the police to report the incident and was told that nothing could have been done because of the man's mental health problem.
Entrance, and I saw a guy was running in my direction, and his shirt was tore up, right? And he had two objects in his hand. So when he reached close to where I was, he just took one and stabbed me on my hand. And he was like, what are you watching me for? So I said, I am watching you. And then I realized, he turned back and he was coming back at me again. So I ran into a van, and he was trying to get into the van behind me. When I went to the station the police is making me to know, he's mental, nothing can't be done. In front of Tokyo by the entrance. Well, I'm not too sure what it was, because he had, I think one hand was a knife, and the other one did look like a piece of stick. I was walking up. I saw he was arguing with some others in front of by the Iron Man there. So after I saw that, I stood up, and I said, me ain't going no further because I'm not too sure what is happening there. And then I see he started to run, and then he come in my direction and just stabbed me on my hand. Well, I ran into the van because nowhere else to go. Well, a guy was standing up at the crossing to see if he was going to attack me or where I went. But after he saw I went in the van, he just continued to walk. Yeah, the conductor had to shut the door very quickly, and the van just had to drive off fast.
A senior police officer with the RSVG police force told SVGTV News that he does not wish to comment much on the matter, only to say it is being investigated. Meanwhile, a worker at Randy's supermarket in the Rose Place area was also on Hot 97 this morning and reported that an alleged mentally ill man holding a pipe in his hand broke the front door of the supermarket and tried to get to them where they were in the office. The woman said she was in the office with a co-worker and they were so terrified they told the alleged mentally ill man to take whatever he needed. The man, however, did not take anything from the supermarket. In other news, today marks the 8th day of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which Minister of National Mobilisation, Orando Brewster, said is an occasion for government and non-governmental organizations to raise public awareness to end violence against women. Minister Brewster, however, noted that the advocacy of gender-based violence is not only based on 16 days of activism, and his ministry is working tirelessly all year round with campaigns and programs to address and eradicate all forms of violence against women and girls.
We need each and everyone to start or join the conversation at home with family and friends, in the workplace, in church, with social circles, on social media, about how violence can be eliminated from our communities. Speak out and show the courage to say it is not okay. Our intervention will signal to the perpetrators that their behavior is unacceptable and will also help persons to stay safe and stay alive. Stop saying it is not my problem. Violence against women is not only a woman's issue, And in order for there to be an end, we need more men, women, boys and girls to join in the fight to end violence now.
Minister Brewster said that the eruptions of La Soufrière volcano, which this country experienced in April, brought to light unreported cases of domestic violence, which can negatively impact the society by destroying families.
Framing gender-based violence against women as a human rights violation implies an important conceptual shift. It means recognizing that women are exposed to violence not by accident nor because of an inborn vulnerability, but it indicates that violence is a result of structural, deep-rooted discrimination which the entire country has an obligation to address. Preventing and addressing gender-based violence requires legislative, administrative, and institutional measures and reforms, including the eradication of gender stereotypes. The scourge of violence challenges and prevents the achievement of Goal 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls.
The 16 days of activism will conclude on December 10th, which has been observed as Human Rights Day. A local pastor is of the view that the same energy that is being used to get people vaccinated against COVID-19 should be used to end all gender-based violence. Minister of the Church of Christ Ministry in Richland Park, Rohan Hector, in an interview with SVGTV News, condemns all forms of violence in SVG and around the world.
A lot of energy right now is being thrown into, getting us as human beings to be vaccinated against the coronavirus, and that's a good thing. We need to protect ourselves and protect our loved ones, but even more so, we need to throw a lot of energy into these gender-based violence. We need to throw a lot of energy behind to combat all the violence against women in our country, women in our world. Take, for example, domestic violence. I mean, so much recklessness is going on. But, to get to the heart of the matter, and I'm saying heart loosely, because that is where it all takes place.
Pastor Hector is encouraging women to speak up and speak out about all forms of abuse, noting that if men fail them, God will always be there to lift them up.
Be in a relation with someone who don't care for you, who don't love you, but then when you recognize what God has done for you, how much He has loved you, how much He continued to preserve our life. I mean, every morning you wake up, there it is. He's there preserving you, taking care of you, giving you this precious soul, sending His Son to die for you. And once we can see how much God loves us, how much God cares for us, that now is gonna, help us to elevate our spirit, help us to elevate our esteem, our self-esteem, and help us to be a better person and to recognize that, I don't need to succumb to this kind of abuse. I don't just subject myself to this manner of abuse. I need to do something about it, and there's always a way out. There's always a way out. The easiest thing, and I can tell you right now, just find that way, just get out, just leave if you have to. Get the necessary help that is out there, that is being afforded to those people in that situation. Get the help and just get out. Do not subject yourself to such abuse.
Pastor Hector is also appealing to the abusers to desist from hurting their loved ones, noting that their behavior can have a negative impact on the future generation.
People who grew up in dysfunctional families, who grew up with some manner of abuse, sadly, they have a tendency to lean towards it because that's what they know, that's what they have been taught. But we also have situations of children who grow up in abusive homes and they detest it. They hate the situation, and they've seen their mother being abused, and they resolve it in themselves. You know what? I will never ever do that to my wife if I ever get married, because I see how my father treated my mother, and they resolve it in themselves that they will never do such things. And I want to encourage those who grew up in that situation to recognize that you have a choice. We all have a choice, and we can choose not to abuse. We can choose not to hit. We can choose to live a life that, basically bring glory again to God.
In keeping with the spirit of Christmas and in an effort to promote good morale among inmates at Kingston and Belial, Her Majesty's prisons will be implementing a number of initiatives for the season. These are from December 6, 2021. A visit to inmates will resume at the Kingston and Belial facilities. Each inmate will receive one visit per week, not exceeding 15 minutes. No more than 3 persons would be allowed to visit an inmate at the same time. Visits will be done by appointment only, and strict COVID-19 protocols will be in place. From December 15, 2021 to January 1st, 2022, inmates at both facilities will be allowed snacks and fast food items from their relatives and friends on weekdays only between the hours of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. These can include Subway, KFC, roti, etc. On Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day, between the hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., home-cooked Christmas meals, including cake, will be accepted, along with non-alcoholic beverages. No homemade beverages will be accepted.